All right. I think we spent enough time on me. Let's go to
Let
Frankfurt. Let's go out in Germany. What the Flyers look like to you?
so I mean, we quickly talked about, they came with a full roster, right? They drafted three rookies, and then they added Kawhi Leonard and Chris Paul. Um, and they've just got a lot of promising, especially guards, right? With you know being able to see John Wall this preseason, right? He looks like he's going to be great for Houston. I mean, even if he's only playing half the games, um, but he's got that balance with Darren Fox. Marketing looks great with a competent coach.
Mm,
Um,
hmm
DeAndre Ayton, I'm starting to get low on. I'm starting to think something's not quite there, man. I watch him play, and I'm just like, I just don't get it. Like, I don't think he'll ever live up to to what his full potential is going to be. But it's certainly early. I'm certainly here to overreact.
Yeah,
Um,
dominant. I mean, not dominant, but efficient night. Double tonight. 11 points and 15 rebounds. But um,
like 11 points, man. 11 points? You kidding
yeah,
me? And Chris
yeah,
Paul, your point guard?
yeah.
And I know Booker was struggling.
But here's what I'll say about DeAndre Ayton. Because a lot of people are talked a lot about Chris Paul's impact on centers, and you know the thing is, you got to look at it. What kind of impact did Chris Paul have on Steven Adams last year? I didn't see too big of a jump in Steven Adams' play. I think he was right around what he usually is. Um, But I think what people are referring to when they're talking about his impact on centers, they're thinking about DeAndre Jordan's. They're thinking about Tyson Chandler's and people like that. But these guys are rim running centers who are going up for lobs and all that stuff. DeAndre Ayton is not that kind of player, and neither is Steven Adams. And I don't see DeAndre Ayton I will say he'll benefit from Chris Paul in just from the intangibles, the leadership, the organizing of the team, this, that, and other. DeAndre Ayton obviously hasn't. Well, he did play with Rubio last year, but I mean, Chris Paul is obviously a far and better player and mind than Rubio is. But I don't see what kind of jump he's going to have with Chris Paul.
Who's the player that Chris Paul played with early in his career? Um, Down in, what was it? Yeah, New Orleans. I can't
Tyson
remember.
Chandler.
No, not Tyson Chandler. I'm thinking about the power forward. Um, he played on the
Oh,
Pacers
West.
for a couple of years.
David
Yeah,
West.
West.
Mhm.
Right, and so that's what I'm thinking Aiton could be, right? Like a pick and pop player,
Mhm.
chooses his spot because Aiton wants to shoot jump shots, man. And
Yeah,
so,
he's a
and,
face-up
and
guy. He wants to face up and take jump shots and all that kind of stuff. He wants to be like a Joel Embiid, but he's not Joel Embiid.
no, he's nowhere. Yeah, nowhere close.
He's just not.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's the other thing. Booker doesn't want to give him the ball too, to try to be a Joel Embiid. I mean, you could just see the disgust on his face. Um, like, like, like I could just see like Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs. I didn't give you the ball to do this bullshit, right? Like, and so like that just yeah, it just plays in my head. When some players, they run the opposite way of what the player is designed to do, or they're just like, nah, I'm not going this way with this matchup.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I just with the kind of team they have, and I think when people were looking at DeAndre Ayton, I think they were thinking about him being like more of he was never going to be the focal point of the offense, but I think they thought he was going to be more like one of the central focuses of the offense, and that's just not the case. This team is not going to run the offense through him at any point. I think he'll get his touches, obviously, but Chris Paul is going to be handling the ball. He's going to be working that 1-2 game with Booker, and I don't know if Booker and him are even going to be on the floor that much at the same time. I think they'll have times where they'll probably stagger their minutes, Chris Paul and Booker, because I just got one of the quick quarters of the Suns game the other day, and I noticed they like to run Booker with Chris Paul being off the floor, which they probably need to do anyway, because once Chris Paul comes off the floor, I guess you bring in Cameron Payne, and who's been playing pretty decently from what I've seen.
Hmm.
They don't have a whole lot of shooting and playmaking once Booker. You can't have Booker and Chris Paul off the floor at the same time. You just stand the chance of getting blown out um, as soon as that happens. So they're going to stagger those minutes a lot, and you still have DeAndre Ayton being at best a third option. Really, I mean, Chris Paul is not that. I think we want that to happen for DeAndre Ayton, and it's probably ideal for it to happen at Chris Paul's age, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But I agree with you. I don't see the. They should took Doncic, man. I don't know what happened
Hmm.
there, but this guy he
Or
played at
yeah,
Arizona. They're in Phoenix, and he was a big
yeah.
name. Had a great March Madness and all this other stuff. Like, I mean, it is what it is. So, um, added Kawhi Leonard. Um, you mentioned marketing. You mentioned John Wall's promising play in the preseason. Markel Fultz looks good, and Fox, who got a lot of money this offseason. Um, we'll see what happens there, but he's deep at the guard position with Chris Paul rounding that out. Just speaking of Chris Paul, he's got both of him and DeAndre Ayton on his team. Um,
Hmm.
other than outside of that, I mean, you got OG, and then you got the rookie Anthony Edwards and Denny Avdia and Patrick Williams, who we don't expect to contribute as much this year. But look out now, Wendell Carter Jr. tonight. Look at his numbers: 22 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists tonight, and a three-pointer. This is the guy right here. If he can if he can show up and have a breakout season, I'm gonna like this Bulls team a lot better, and I'm also gonna like Frankfurt Flyers a lot.
He might have to play the Warriors every night to
To
achieve
do
his
that,
lie.
yeah.
But there's hope, right? Like, like the
Is
Bulls,
there? I don't know.
did a major. Yeah,
Is there? I mean, game one, six
I
points,
mean
six rebounds. Game two, 9 points, 6 rebounds. Um, all the way
the
now to
Pacers
game
matchup. I give them a bye. The Atlanta, no.
Atlanta, bro. 6 points, 6 rebounds.
No. The Atlanta, I'm not giving a
Oh,
bye.
okay. I'm like, what? I'm like, what happened there?
No,
Like,
no,
if this is who you are,
that's awful.
yeah. So we're gonna have to see if this game right here is an aberration or if it's like a turning point or not for Wendell Carter. Um, because I think the guy's talented, but you know, we need to see him stay healthy, and we need to see him show up to these games and play big. Um, outside of all that being said, I think Frankfurt is as deep a team potentially as anyone. It's got a lot of good depth at all these positions we just mentioned. So the young guys, we don't expect much out of them yet, but um, if these guys show up, OG Anunoby's on his team, and he's a guy who can get you stats in all categories. Um, but not a huge scorer or anything like that. They expect his role to be expanded this year supposedly, so we'll see what that looks like as the season rolls on. But yeah, I think they're in the mix. They're another team that's just in the mix, and that might be the name of this category. The last four teams that we just named in the mix.
Mhm.
And I guess if there's no other thoughts, we can kind of uh, fill up our top five teams, or top six, I should say.
Yeah, so 6 and 5. We've got Solid State and Brooklyn Phoenix, which is my team, Brooklyn Phoenix. Um, I'll quickly say these were two top teams from last season, with Solid State uh, finishing as the regular season champ. Um, and yeah, I'll first hear your thoughts on both those teams, because I think they deserve um, to be more or less grouped together. I think that there is still a tier um, between, say, those two teams and
Mm-hmm.
the next couple for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Um, I agree with that. This is kind of like a middling tier right here. This
Hmm.
not quite, I would say, sure shot contenders, but definitely,
Hmm.
we'll have our locks for the playoffs, and we'll be highly competitive this year. Um, yeah, looking back at the team, solid start with Solid State. They pretty much are running it back. Also,
Hmm.
and like you mentioned, they had a great season last year, and so why wouldn't you just run it back? Sure. So they're coming back with all their guys. Now, what I will say is, I wouldn't be surprised if they started out slow coming out the gate. Um, just because of he's got James Harden as his marquee player, and we know what's going on with James Harden right now. Um, Colin Sexton, a year later, still looking like he's improving and playing well. Um, they've also got Schroeder. They brought Schroeder back, who was in a still in a good situation, and will get some, probably keep his similar type role, moving from OKC to LA. Should be able to put up similar numbers if I had to guess. And Collins is a guy who's got a big question mark on him, right? We just I like Collins, and but as you mentioned, he doesn't have the best rep right now in the league amongst managers, and they didn't pick up his extension, so we'll see what that means for him. Um,
Yeah, did you see the rumor that the Hawks offered him like 5 years, 80 million?
really,
I'm like, yeah, just don't offer him a contract at all. Like, how in your
5 years,
right
80
mind would you
million.
accept, right? Like, that's so disrespectful. That's like, yeah, we kind of moved on from you, but just in case you just happen to work out, you know, it's just easy to keep you then.
Well, yeah, they pulled the like, well, we tried to keep you. We offered you an extension. Um,
That
but
is wild. That is disrespectful money for a big too.
yeah, he's a big who, I don't know, still a slight build guy. But last year averaged 20 and 10, and so he had an excellent season for Solid State last year. Brought back, the beast, Demontis Sabonis. Those two guys together, him and Collins, if they putting up double doubles like that, then they're going to be a scary team. Rashard Holmes, who seems to be getting. I was worried about Rashard Holmes for a little bit because I didn't know what it meant to him that Sacramento brought in Whiteside. But it looks like he's getting the bulk of the minutes right now and a little bit more versatile offensively. So I think they're playing that well right now. And then Larry Nance is also another guy brought back, and he's seems to be benefiting from Kevin Love's absence, which I'm not happy about, unfortunately. But um, it's time for Nance. It is time for Nance to make that leap and become that guy that people were kind of thinking he could become. He's a guy who could contribute across many different categories in fantasy, and so it was a little bit of a letdown last year, but given the minutes, it seems like he can be productive. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think, now that I'm talking through it, maybe I was a little lower on this team than maybe I should have been. But again, I'm still looking at guys like Marcus Smart and who's also a solid contributor. But the names alone don't jump off the page to me per se. When I look at the depth at guard, Colin Sexton, Marcus Smart, and then Derek White, who's injured. Um, but these are guys who can really fill it up and give you some good contribution. So I think the only weakness I see here is what's going to happen with Barton. Is Barton been going to be healthy and be consistent? When he is healthy, he's solid. Can score, shoot threes, gives you steals, all that stuff. He's a sneaky, cheap guy who can do a lot for you. So, you know, you can't count this team out, and I think they're going to be right in the mix for or above those in the mix guys, and they're going to be strong. We'll see what happens with the James Harden situation. They need James Harden to play, but had a good week coming out the gate this week. Um, put the smackdown on New York Clinic, uh, beating them 8-1 right now. So
Yeah, I mean, Harden showed up in one game and put up like 50 points and like 20 assists, man. It was out of this world.
oh yeah, I see the stat line. Hopefully I can go back and watch that game. But 6'3", I see 6 threes, 44, and 17 assists.
Yeah, he was outrageous, man.
Damn, man. Whatever strip club he's going to, man. I'm trying to
Yeah.
get the invite to my players to go to the same ones, man.
Signed
That's
him up.
outrageous. Yeah, that's outrageous, boy.
That line is just
Yeah, and that's right off of him getting fined too. So
yeah, and this is like fat hearted, right? Because I remember there was a
like,
bunch of pictures circulating in social media. Excuse me, with Harden being
um,
above weight.
yeah, man. So let's jump into Brooklyn. Brooklyn Phoenix, your team. Ran it back with Simmons and made the acquisition for Paul George this offseason, bringing Cat back, who got some unfortunate news tonight about his injury. Um, After we were both watching when he landed on his wrist last night, and it did look bad, but he came back in the game. Now, apparently, they're saying that he has dislocated his left wrist. Um, so tough break for you guys. Tough break for Minnesota and everyone who is rocking with Carl Anthony Towns because he was
So,
having his
so
usual
question:
solid start.
D- Does that mean that Carl Anthony Towns is not going to play for my fantasy team? I just need to know.
Yo, that tweet, yo, that reply to Woj's tweet. How could you be that much of scum to talk about your fantasy
Oh
team
my
right
god.
now?
Is he playing tonight? I need to know for my fantasy team.
Yo,
The
my
audacity.
man said, "Yo, I'm trying to see what's up with my DraftKings." Like,
And then for Twitter's algorithm to keep that at top. Like I'm sure there was like hundreds of other comments.
that was scum. That was a real scum comment. Um, b- but yeah, man, that's gonna be a big loss for you guys. Paul George.
So,
You know, we know what Paul George could do, and we see the kind of season he's having so far. He's putting up big scoring numbers. First game out the gate with 33. Um, efficient guy. He's been also throwing. He had last game. His second game had 9 assists. Uh, but tonight, what happened there? What we saw him playing with no Kawhi, and they come out to. I don't know where did they play in Dallas? I think they were playing at home.
uh,
I think they were playing at home, and Dallas came in and just spanked them, like put them over Doncic's lap and spanked them, like 51 points. I can't have nobody on my team that is getting spanked like that, Kyle. Like, I just can't. And especially with the off-season comments, like I'm just disgusted with Paul George right now. But you know, it is what it is. You still got Simmons, you still got Grant putting up numbers. DeLon Wright is gonna do what he does. And Joe Harris, you got him for shooting some threes, and he's gonna do that. Um, and then speaking of the strip club, I see you got Sweet Lou in here, who only took 4 shots tonight. Interestingly enough, so not sure what's happening there, but you know. I think you're gonna want to make some lineup changes in this next couple of days, and with now 2 injuries coming to you, it's I think my one comment on this team was is going to be specifically relevant to your current situation, which was I think everything is good except what happens when you get some injuries, and I'm a little concerned with the depth here. Marquise Chris is a guy he's a guy who spent like 2 or 3 years on my bench. I was hoping that he would become something. Um, and when I saw that he wasn't becoming anything on Phoenix, I let him go. And here he is back
mm,
in some sort of relevancy, and um, I saw him doing the things that I like to see him doing in preseason, but now that the regular season has started, we see that he is back to being that guy that I don't want on my team. So, what is he doing on your
uh,
roster, Kyle?
he's actually no longer on my roster. So he was a
Okay.
7-day contract type of guy. He was off the roster by Wednesday.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so so there's been a
Okay.
lot of turn in my roster.
Oh, okay.
Like you know you know me, I'm a big preseason guy, and if I see a guy playing hot like the first 2 games, I'm certainly gonna have
Mm,
him on my roster.
okay. I see here
Um,
you picked
and
up
so
Plumlee.
so I made quite a bit of changes. Plumlee, I actually would have drafted, but he just fell off my cheat sheet or something. Like
Yeah, he's
I was like
somebody.
pretty high on him,
Yeah, I
but
was high on him, and
I just forgot.
I
I
had
just
him on
forgot.
my sheet, and as you know, my preparation for these drafts was not very good, and I was in the middle of a move,
Mhm.
So I just, you know, any names that I had of guys that I look at, I don't even know where that list is now. So
Mhm.
I just completely forgot about him. So I see you made a couple of pickups. Keldon Johnson, is that their rookie? Is he a rookie? What? Tell me about Keldon Johnson. I see
No,
these numbers.
he's
He's a sophomore.
he's
Oh, oh my,
yeah, he's a
double double.
sophomore. He
Oh, the blocks and oh
yeah.
wait, is
Yeah.
he? Damn,
Yeah.
zero availability.
So you
Okay.
just looked across all your links. Nah, he was one of those quick pickups.
Shit.
Um this fantasy season. Yeah, and I didn't even have enough money to get him in Watch the Throne. So that was one of those where if I would have had more
Mm.
dollars, I probably would be able to get him. I got outbid. Um,
Oh, tell me about this
but
guy.
he had a breakout in the bubble. And I wish I would have watched a little bit more Spurs basketball. But like I got to watch the Pelicans game today, and it looks like LaMarcus Aldridge, depending on who they're playing, is being phased out, and they're running this small ball type of lineup where they want to be able to switch everything defensively and offense, and be very versatile offensively.
So
But
who
it's
they're
mostly for the defense.
so who they're running at the five?
Um, who was the five? The five might have been was it DeRozan?
What?
Yeah, it was. Was it DeRozan? DeRozan was at least the four. Um,
Mm, that's
because LA
interesting.
wasn't out there for the five. Like it was like a really small lineup.
So I'm guessing with LA not being out there, no Jakob Poeltl, just
No Jakob. There was no Jakob Pearl. Because I
wow,
mean, Jakob Pearl's gonna be, yes,
buried.
slow as nails out there.
Yeah, he's gonna be buried
Um,
on that team.
and they had this guy. Uh, what's this rookie's? The other, not
Lonnie
he's not a
Walker,
rookie. The second year, Lonnie Walker. Yeah,
Lonnie Walker.
because he was like one of their best shooters that game, and they got Devontae Murray. Um, so that's four people. I think the fifth person was like Patty Mills, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, they probably had Trey Lyles out there. Is it Trey Lyles they had at the five? He's kind of a shooter.
Nah, nah. Oh, I knew where they had at the five. You won't believe this. Rudy Gay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had Rudy Gay playing the five.
Huh.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Okay.
an interesting lineup to say the
Okay.
least.
Okay.
Um,
So yeah, you made okay. So you made some changes. And I definitely like the sound of those names from a depth standpoint for you. So what was your thinking coming? You didn't come into the draft, with a lot of money. Your big name guys, Carl Anthony Towns, Paul George, Ben Simmons, um, and Devonte Devonte Graham. Um, with that, you were pretty much gonna fill in the gaps, moving around them. You added Joe Harris, DeLon Wright, and
yeah.
some lower end
So,
guys.
so my overall,
DeAndre Jordan.
yeah, DeAndre Jordan was kind of a homer pick. Plus, needing some backup depth. Um, we'll figure out if I'll be playing him this week. Um, but yeah, I mean, Ben Simmons, is a cornerstone of the franchise. And he's a player which can sometimes be difficult to build around, primarily because he doesn't shoot any threes. His free throws are not good. But the things that he really does well is the best blocker at the point guard position, or probably the guard position for that matter. He's
Mhm.
elite in steals. He gives elite assist and elite rebounding at the guard position, and his points are okay, but elite field goal percentage, right? And so the other guy that I have, which is Cat, I don't really, I can't really trade him for anything, right? Like, and I can't put him in the free agency market because I won't be able to get him, at the price that I have him for. And so, he's kind of an across the board type of person, although he did take a noticeable dip last year in the rebounding category. He has started to pay a little bit more attention defensively, and he's blocking more shots. And this year, I don't know if this is indicative of what the offense is going to be, but he's not shooting as or not making as many threes as he did last year. Last year, he was making 3.5. And because of that, because he's so strong with the out of position threes, I wanted to make a priority in grabbing more threes, which is why I did the trade, sending Jimmy Butler away for Paul George, because Jimmy Butler is one of his best categories is the free throw value.
Mhm.
And, you know, it still gives an advantage, but I no longer have, like, I had Chris Paul last year, right? And I couldn't keep both of them. And so, I think I had to deviate from that strategy. So I wanted to make sure my threes were still looking pretty good,
Mhm.
especially because I was keeping Devonte Graham, and he's really good at that. And then Paul George is just a good all around type of person, can kind of do everything. Doesn't have the elite steals of Butler, but he's above average. Like he
Mhm.
does pretty good in that category, and
Right.
has been elite in some distant past. And then DeLon Wright was, an opportunity, right? He's playing on the Pistons. They're trying to find what they want to do. Casey loves guards that can defend. He's traditionally done, pretty good with steals. So the hope was that, he could provide that. Lou Williams was, filling out the roster type of a move.
Mhm.
Um, hoping that he could put up some points, or if somebody was down, I could put him in. But he certainly got me in concern mode, with his early season performance. So we'll figure out if we still got a roster spot for him in another week or so. Paul Millsap. So I think a lot of people, forgot about Paul Millsap, and he was basically, yeah, I mean, he was coming for the right price, which is, basically undrafted or for $1. But I think for the things that he can do, which is, provide some points, some rebounds, some steals, just give you a little bit of everything, right? The Nuggets lost so many players, this past season, um, and I also think Michael Porter's not there yet, where um, you can rely on him for, say 35 minutes a game, just
Mhm.
given his injury history, and also just given the fact that he's a defensive liability. It's not to say that Millsap is like this, you know, first team all defender, but he
Yeah.
does understand defensive concepts, and I think he can reliably get like upwards of 25 minutes. No more than probably 30 at this age of his career. But I just liked what I was seeing from a bunch of the blurbs in the off season about what he was doing.
Yeah, I mean, Millsap is still a solid guy, and I don't know how much fantasy value he still has at this point in his career, but I mean, definitely in real life, he's definitely valuable, and he's gonna give you, those turn the clock back type of games, every once in a while. So having him on your bench, at this that getting him there is certainly not a knock. Definitely, definitely, upgrade over Marquise Chris and guys of guys of that nature. So no argument there for Millsap. Um, all right, so yeah, we could round it out with the last our top four heavy contenders. And looks like we are most it looks yeah we're pretty much we flip-flopped on Amherst and Bimtown, but we pretty much have them right around the same area, 3 and 4. And then our top two contenders, we have Cranston at number one and Rucker Park at number two. So real quickly, let's talk about Bimtown and Amherst. What are your thoughts on them?
So Bentown, I mean, she's an organization which, prides themselves on being able to shoot the basketball. Free throw percentage, is a top priority. Although I know they did add Blake Griffin, but Blake Griffin is basically a bench, position probably at this point. Um, and 3-point shooting, is very important to this team.
Well, you
But
mentioned Blake
they
Griffin
just
and
have.
shooting. Just a quick note: 8 3-pointers in his last game. Uh, in his game Saturday, was it Saturday night? Saturday night against Cleveland,
Mhm.
shot 8 threes, 26 points, and 6 rebounds. I've never seen Blake Griffin do anything like that before, so that was kind of really interesting. But please continue.
Yeah, I mean it's just solid all across the board, from position 1 to position 4, right? I mean, you're talking about Luca, Chris Middleton, Booker, Zion. Rozier can play a utility spot, and you got Blake. Yeah, okay, Blake is going to be starting at center probably for this team, and then you've got
Mhm.
Bohan, Bogdanovic, at the power forward position. I mean, that's just a really solid, versatile team.
Yeah,
They're not going to bring the defense, which is which is which is I think what dropped me from them from say the other two teams
hmm
was I was certainly got some concerns as far as their defensive numbers, but I mean, defense doesn't matter if you're outscoring the other team in points, free throw percentage, threes, assist, um, and pick your poison, on the next counting staff.
yeah. Yeah, I think solid job here by Bimtown, adding Boyan Bogdanovic, uh, Blake Griffin, for the starting center, and then you still have a guy like PJ Tucker who can contribute in all categories. Not a high producing guy, but will give you those games where he's gonna have like multiple steals, a block, a three. A good utility guy. We mentioned Rozier earlier. Rozier, we Bimtown and I did that deal, and Rozier's been shooting well. Games, back-to-back games of 19, and then the opener with 42 points. So also giving a couple of blocks. So sneaky plays here. Luca obviously is a beast. Um, and will is a constant triple double alert. And then guys like Booker who gonna give you the assists, give you you know the points and the threes, and um, Kuzma's gonna have his days. Probably probably the least consistent player on the starting roster, but um, still solid. Um, and then Zion, he's gonna have days where he's not shooting free throws pretty well. He's gonna kill you there, but for the most part, the percentages should be there. Gonna give you a double double every night. And then tonight, 5 steals. So. 5 steals and a block. So you're gonna have those games there where Zion's the kind of player who could push you over the top on any given week. So solid job. But as you pointed out, my main concern with this team was the lack of those big man stats. Even though you got Zion with the double digit rebounding, I think you're relying heavily on Doncic to give you those out of position rebounds. Um, so like very much like your team, um, Doncic is one of those guys who is going to give you solid rebounding from the point guard position, and then once in a while he's going to also block some shots. Um, but no true center on this team. The only true center on this team is Enes Kanter, and unfortunately, he's still Enes Kanter. So, um, we probably won't see too much of Enes Kanter this year, playing behind Nurkic. So, but he's been okay these first couple of games from what I understand. I think he's had a couple of games already where he's given, close to a double double, 14 points and 8 rebounds his first game, and 10 points, 9 rebounds last game. So, and this is all in limited time. And but we gotta see what happens there. So yeah, let's move on to Amherst. What do you think about Amherst? Got some big names on this team, and then
Yeah,
kind of drops off, but I think they did what they were supposed to do in this draft. Um, Thought a little bit about the future, and then also built around their main guys, Lillard and Embiid. Brought in Aldridge, has MPJ on this team, Michael Porter Jr. Like you said, if he puts it together and becomes a player, this is going to be a scary team. Scott Bridges, Mikal Bridges from the Suns. Um, and then
Mikal Bridges looks amazing
he does.
this year.
He does. Incredible. He's becoming the guy who was the number 10 pick in his draft. And that's coming out to be a really good game. This is kind of like when Rocco was having his first couple of seasons and he kind of broke out and everybody's like, yo, who is this guy? Um, that's what Mikal Bridges is doing right now. He's giving you contributions and blocks and steals and threes, and he's showing looking to be probably even better scorer than Mikal Bridges, and he's going to get those opportunities and shots of being on this team, focusing on Booker and Aiton, and then Chris Paul orchestrating that offense. So they're going to be they're going to be solid. He's going to be really solid throughout the year. This team also has Brogdon. We
Yeah, and I
didn't we didn't
mean,
mention Brogdon. Brogdon's been I have Brogdon in another league, and he is solid, man, rock solid. Um, Giving you 5+ assists each game. He's been scoring the ball a ton, hitting threes, shooting very efficiently. I mean, he's just not a lot of holes in his game.
yeah, I mean, this team's just got a lot of angles that they can go. You know, you got Embiid and LaMarcus Aldridge, right? That covers you against most teams in blocks. In that same token, you would have typically said rebounds with those two, but LaMarcus Aldridge is having a shortage of rebounds to start the season, but maybe that's an area Michael Porter can pick it up. And then from percentage perspective, it's looking pretty good on the field goal. Probably the free throw is probably good enough with Dame Lillard. Threes might be a little bit wanting, but I mean that's what Bridges is for. And you can always figure out threes, especially when
Yeah.
you've got
Uh,
Dame, which is one of the most elite 3-point shooters in the game right now.
yeah, I don't know. I don't expect this team to struggle a whole lot with threes. You got Dame who's gonna probably give you three a game. You got Bridges who should be giving you two or more every game. Brogdon's been shooting at least two. I mean, getting at least two. Yeah, around two. He'd probably give you 1.5, something like that. And then, Joel Embiid will give you some out of position threes, as will Aldridge and Harford. So, and then we know Harrison Barnes can also hit the three. So he's got really everyone on his team can hit threes. So I don't expect him to struggle too much with 3 pointers. Even Michael Porter Jr. is giving you uh, three in his first game and two in his last game. So should be all
Uh,
right.
yeah, yeah. I think that's confirmed. So I mean, yeah. I mean, there's no real big weakness. I mean, you want Embiid to not rest. um,
And to play, yeah,
and
you want
he
this guy to not get
and to
hurt
play.
and
Yeah.
not rest. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, him and Brogdon are the biggest injury concerns. You got age concerns with Horford and Aldridge. Um, but outside of that, I mean, an injury to Dame or injury to Embiid would hurt. It would hurt this team, but
Yeah.
yeah, but they've got as constituted, they've got enough on this squad to be a really dangerous team going into the playoffs. So I like what they're doing. I do think they might want to address that center position though. Horford and Joel Embiid just feels
Like Philly.
yeah, yeah, it feels like Philly. Feels like Philly. But it feels something just doesn't feel too comforting there. But Embiid's been his usual self so far in this league, and already has missed his first game. Didn't play tonight against Cleveland, but that is to be expected. Um, we know what we're getting into with Embiid, so um, you know, cheers to him. It's going to be a great season for Amherst. Let's talk about the top two teams that we both agree on. That's Cranston and Cranston Killers and Rucker Park Busters. We'll start with the Busters, I guess. What are you thinking about them?
Busters, I mean, it was wheeling and dealing in the off season. Put together, some really good talent around Giannis. You got Drew Holiday, which brings the defense, and you know, shoots decent for a guard. And then, the defensive monster, right? This is a guy that's, been part of my franchise multiple seasons. Um, and Andre Drummond, and he just, continues to lead the league and or be, top three in rebounds, be elite in steals, right? At the
Hmm.
center position.
Yes.
And he's still blocking shots. I mean, so he's just a guy that just is the ideal pairing with Giannis. Of course, you throw away your free throws, but you probably were already throwing it away with Giannis. So, why not
Yeah.
double down and get even more defensive numbers?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and then now now the next goal is to add on some assists, and you add on Lonzo Ball, and I kind of I miss the parade on Devontae Money. Wow, Devontae
DeJounte Murray.
Murray,
Yeah.
uh, because he's basically been a triple double threat, right? And I think that's the guy that's the real game changer, right? If he's not giving him 7, 8 assists, then he might not be as scary in the assist column, but you know, he gives that, and so that that makes it, very hard to compete with this team. And what do we have now? We've got field goal percentage, we've got rebounds, we've got assists now, we've got um, blocks is pretty solid. Um, can't remember if I said field goal percentage, but that's another big one.
Yeah, field goal
Um,
percentage is going to be solid. I mean, solid.
right. And so that's like five categories that they can hang their hat on, even if, say, Giannis goes down for a little bit, or Andre Drummond, misses some time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, definitely. I mean, not really not a lot of holes to consider here. I mean, I like the addition. I like what they did in terms of building around Giannis. They made those off-season moves. Really, all three point guards they have on their roster, they made moves for this offseason, adding DeJounte Murray, Lonzo Ball, and Holiday. Um, Off-season signed Richardson, Wiggins, and then they made the trade also for Drummond.
well, let's back up. Let's back up a little bit. I think the Wiggins is going to come with some regret.
Hmm.
I think that was bad money. Wiggins, showed some promise last year, uh, but this year he's just not bringing it, right? And if he's not going to bring defensive numbers, which is what this team wants, like this team doesn't care if you're shooting the three. Like you're shooting the three, that's nice. We want to know: are you bringing the steals? Are you bringing the blocks? Are you bringing the rebounds? Are you shooting at a high percentage? Um, and those are some things which Wiggins is very volatile with. However, I will say he does bring the upside of points. So,
Yeah.
if you want some points, yeah, Wiggins
Yeah.
is the guy.
So that's where I was gonna go with it. Yeah, I think with Wiggins, you're right. He's not going to give you the defensive stats like that. But with the guy like him, you're really looking at his potential to give you 20 plus points per game possibly. And I don't know that he'll do it with Steph around. But he'll have some opportunity now that it's only Steph and he's, I guess, basically the second offensive option, depending on what they do um, what they how they factor in Wiseman and Green and Oubre. But he should still be the second option and get plenty of opportunity to score the ball again. The problem with Wiggins right now is just he's just not shooting well, I guess, and only averaging 12 points 3 games into the season. So I think Wiggins is here for his scoring ability. Um, Outside of Giannis, points is going to come at a it's not gonna be the best category for this team. So Drew Holiday, is not gonna give you he's not gonna reliably give you 20 plus. Same thing with Alonzo and Dejounte Murray and all the other guys we mentioned. These are guys who all score kind of in the teens. So I think Wiggins is primarily on here to score. And if that's what you got him for, then I think it was probably money. I would say it's probably money well spent. I mean, or there are other guys who maybe could have gotten. I don't know. I mean, he didn't have a ton of money coming
Not
in
at not
the
at
draft.
$20. Yeah, not
Yeah,
at $20.
yeah. So, so I didn't mind it. I thought it was probably a guy he probably targeted as a scorer for him. So um, good addition here. I like the team. I'm interested to see how they fare this season. Um, and then we talked about coming into the draft. We talked about Cranston coming into the offseason. We talked about Cranston because of the amount of talent that they've got, and they're really the best example of what happens when you build through the rookie draft. Tatum, D'Angelo Russell, Trae Young. Did I miss anyone? Pascal Siakam. I don't know if Pascal was a. I don't think he was a draft pick of his, but I'm sorry.
No.
Ingram, Tatum, Russell, and Young. Um, these are guys that I believe were all drafted in the rookie draft by
Mhm.
Cranston. I mean, and now they're all like, you know, top, uh, you know, uh, you know, top level talented players. I mean, three of these guys are first rounders, pretty much,
Mhm.
or giving first round value. They're all of them are at least early round value players. So, um, they didn't have too big of a job to do this offseason. Add a big money player, highly talented guy. They went with LeBron. I would have liked to have seen them go with AD instead, but all said, they're still number one ranked team to me. So, what are your thoughts on them?
Mm, I mean, you captured almost all of them. I mean, this team, speaks for itself. They built through the draft, and they just got a solid core. I mean, just even the players that are waiting in the wings, like DeAndre Hunter, he's
Evan
looking to be
Vassell,
solid.
yeah,
Yeah, Vassell, TJ Warren, he's no slouch.
hmm hmm
And Jared Allen, Jared Allen, I think is sneaky. A lot of people,
yeah, yeah,
sleeping on him, but he's bringing the defensive numbers. And Daniel Tice, he's shooting threes, and he's got promise. I owned him. For last year, he was top 100 value.
yeah. Definitely sneaky guys like TJ Warren. TJ Warren is a guy who doesn't go. He usually gets drafted and started getting drafted in the middle rounds like last year. I got him a couple of times because people were sleeping on him, but he had a
Hmm.
really good year last year and slow start this year, but I mean he should settle in and be right back to where he was. Actually, his last two games were pretty high scoring games or good scoring games, I should say. And then I didn't mention, he's also got Pascal Siakam on this team, and I mean there's just talent from top to bottom. He's got a strong eight. He could go eight deep strong. LeBron is the veteran on his team, still putting up pretty decent numbers at his age. Um, Not a lot of weaknesses. If I point to anything, it would be um, how consistent of rebounding numbers will he get, but I can't even say that because again, you got Jared Allen and Siakam and Ingram and even LeBron who's going to give you double digit rebounding sometimes. So
Yeah,
oh, I don't know what to say about any of this tonight. I think he's a
I
clear
think
cut
you've
number one
summed
team.
it up. Yeah. I mean, we'll see how things pan out over the next couple of weeks and how they perform against an opponent. But you know, top to bottom, if this is the team that if I had to choose out of all the 16 teams, this is certainly the team I would want to start with.